Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on leadchess.org and I'm going to play a 15-5 game against Slayer of. Let's start with knight f6. Okay. So what do we do? Let's try. I think I've had some videos in standard with the Nimzo Indian. Let's try maybe a King's Indian. Yeah. And might want to transpose into a Benoni, in fact. Yeah. Let's see. Get the standard moves in. Let's see, f6. Okay, so Sämisch. What to do in reply to this? Well, first off, I need to slow down. I'm in, like the last standard video, I'm in this speed chess mode. Slower game, slow down. I don't want to castle too soon for this ready-made attack. I think I want to do something on the queen side. So what is this exactly? I'm thinking about c6, a6, and b5. Kind of chip away at this pawn. And doing all of this before moving my knight. Let's start with a6. Of these two, this is the more flexible. I still retain the option to play, let's say, c5 and then maybe b5. I like reserving the c pawn. Retaining the c pawn's options. So let's go with c6 here. And the idea with keeping my knight here is that if they try to prevent b5 with a4, I could key in on b4 with a5, knight a6, knight b4 at some point. So kind of holding off, waiting to see how white reacts to this b5 move, and only then will I declare my knight's intentions. c5, I think, is the critical move to kind of aim at my weak point now on b6. We'll see. I think on c5 I could still play b5 if I want. So I'm happy to see that they're at least thinking a little bit. So maybe they haven't seen this idea before. Who knows? Okay, so they're not doing anything. Might as well just follow through with this b5 move. So it's not the typical way to challenge this pawn trio. Most common is c5 and e5. But yeah, I'm going forward with cracking at the c pawn with the b pawn. And so now, by having the pawn on b5, what can we say? At any point I can lure the bishop on c4, and maybe then strike further at what would then be a pawn duo. So chop, chop, d5. And if I could induce e takes d5, then this really can't be good for white. This f3 pawn kind of, I don't know, its intention is to support a pawn on e4. So if there's no longer a pawn on e4, it's kind of, what's its purpose? Okay, it has a purpose in securing the bishop, but it's important to hang on to the e4 pawn. I can also consider a timely kick of the knight, although I'm more inclined to challenge the pawn center. Now, earlier on I was saying I don't want to castle too soon because of this idea. I didn't mention that this idea, along with queenside castle, is what would really scare me. But now that I could be assured that the queenside would open up some, I feel a little bit more comfortable castling kingside, though at the moment I still don't think that it's necessary. I could form a court grip in the center. Just leave these guys sitting like this, controlling all four. And some more. Do I do that now? What are my candidate moves here? E5 castles. Do I know where my knight's gonna go? Well, he only has one square. In fact, if he only has one square, maybe I should just put that on right now. Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. And in fact, now there's, I have no fear of, let's say, e5. Well, I could have actually considered e5 on the last move, though. Yeah, as I was saying, I think this guy wants to stay here. I could have captured and then maybe played here, or just played here straight away if white played e5 instead of this. Okay, so a3 secures the knight, and also weakens b3. Interesting. Now, here's another note about my last move. I'm prepared to play knight to b6. So if I take, let's look at the most forcing stuff first. Suppose I take on c4. Bishop has to recapture. I could play this move. Pawn takes. I do have a knight b6, which would then bring both my queen and knight there to reinforce this point. I might have something here. That's a bit annoying for white, because chop, chop, d5. And then if this, I'm good with knight b6. I've successfully broken up the center. Chop, chop, d5, and let's say the bishop returns to d3 or a2, probably a2. Well, not b3, I should say, because he's in trouble there. Chop, chop, d5, let's say bishop d3. I get chop again. And if white has to recapture with a piece, I'm happy. And if white captures with a pawn, that gives me knight g4. How's that position looking? It's tough for me to envision what that looks like. Chopperoni, chopperoni, d5. Bishop back. So basically same position. These guys are off the board, he's on this square, and I have d5 in, and it's my move. I chop, they still have a pawn duo. Yeah, I'm liking that, actually. My c6 pawn will do a good job controlling the knight on c3. And I could even follow up with pawn to e5. Yeah, now that my knight is out of the way, I have a knight e5 move. Bishop goes here, I have this. Bishop goes here, I have maybe this kind of stuff. I'm gonna say, let's go for this capture. Yeah, it makes sense also because we'll be able to kind of target one of the weak squares on b3. So let's follow up with this idea to break up their pawn center that's now down to a duo. So what to do? Let's see. First time playing this opponent. Slayer of. Yeah. Take here or here. I really don't know which of the... I'm pretty sure that a bishop move to one of these two is best. This one certainly has its points, because I will be castling kingside, and to keep a piece opposite where my king will eventually be can't be too bad. And it would watch over a hole on b3. So that's nice. I don't know if I'd be too quick to put my rook on the b file, because after b4, no. Oh, I could. Here. I'm not really thinking so much about my rook move, though. More concerned about castling and really breaking up the center. How is the structure going to change in the center? So we could be left with, each of us could be left with isolated pawns. So here, chop, if they take with a piece, our pawns are a knight's move apart and both isolated. So just envisioning these two disappearing. And that's what we would have. And again, this guy is kind of, I don't know, feels a little bit weird. Okay, so I have to follow through with this idea. So it's an uncomfortable moment for white to take with a piece or a pawn. Yeah, I have to be careful of this diagonal. Okay, so should I go straight in for this, knight to g4? I feel like this is the principled move. I'm going to say let's do it. I move my knight forward, I throw a punch, I open my bishop's eyes, and I could think about e5. You know, in my earlier calculation I was thinking bishop f2 is a move. No, it's not. So where does the bishop go? You certainly can't allow me to take out the knight for bishop. You could try to play that position. The computer will be maybe somewhere around even. But this is the more valuable bishop, I would say. With white having pawns on f3 and e4, you know, he's more so the bad bishop, though the structure isn't fixed. He's the more valuable of the two. Secures the king once castled kingside. But now he must leave. Going back to g1 and then this, having just two pawns as the shelter for the white king, with still all of this traffic on board, is a bit scary. So let's consider the forward moves. This will be pretty much shot down with e5. So on this move, I have h6, which is a desirable move in nearly all cases when you're fianchettoed, to have that new square available for the king. And suppose he goes here, or back home. Let's say here. What would I do? I think I'm just playing e5. Yeah, e5, and then even if h3 to shoo my knight away, I could maybe even ignore it. Capturing on d4, and then I'd be on the knight. I'm going to say let's do it. Also, h3, maybe queen h4, though there is g3. I could back up, though. The rook is unprotected on h1. So there's a couple diagonals towards the white king. Queen h4, possibly queen to b6. This is a very nice shelter for my king. Playing d5. Okay, let's consider the squares that's giving up. Knight c5, striking at the unprotected bishop. Also, this diagonal is now officially opened, so this is pretty serious. Most serious move. Queen b6 threatens mate. Queen b6, I think, wins the game. How do you defend queen f2? Here, could take. Win a pawn, hit the rook, and then even return, hitting the rook yet again. So here, there's no bishop move that's going to defend here. No knight move. No knight move, no queen move. Queen b6, rook f1, knight takes pawn. This is already busted for white. I even have I even have the knight jumping into e3. Or taking on b2, though. That's I'm going after the king. Yeah, I'm looking more so at going after the king than picking up a b pawn and allowing some counterplay. Now, the only concern I have is that if I don't keep up with these threats, in the end there is a pawn takes pawn, and they're on my knight, and there's a new square for this knight. So queen b6, rook f1, knight takes pawn. Maybe the rook doesn't have to move. Let's consider a check. Here, g3. No, not really a fan of that. How about queen b6, and then after rook f1? Yeah, queen b6, rook f1. Let's see. Queen b6, rook f1. Knight takes h2. King side is just shredded. Pawn takes pawn. Maybe in that position, I move my knight out of harm's way and defend against knight d5. Still a little bit scary. That pawn is becoming passed. Is there something better here? I mean, I don't want to take because I'm inviting the knight forward and I don't have queen to b6 anymore. And I don't want to do this. I'm going to start with queen b6. I haven't calculated it all, for sure. Rook f1 is... They should probably rattle that one off fast. I could pause for a moment here and just play bishop to b7. Be a little bit careful, f7. So here, queen here. I could just castle and I'm cool with that. So knight takes h2, pawn takes pawn. Oh, I could just recapture with my queen. And I'm on the rook. Still. I could simply recapture on c6 with my queen. I guess earlier I was hesitant to pull the queen off of this diagonal. Is anything better here? Here, chop, chop, chop. My queen's pretty invasive, but they're up a pawn. And he's passed. I don't want to allow any fancy counterplay. I want to keep this simple. Knight takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn. Knight d5, I could just take the rook. Knight takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn, rook h1. Knight back to g4. I have to be very careful. I have to be very, very careful here. Here, here. Rook here, knight back to g4, knight d5 is threatening rook c1, hitting my queen, and then knight to c7 with the fork, and I cannot castle because there's knight to e7 with the fork against my queen and king. King and queen. Should I just start with bishop to b7? Knight here. Maybe knight here first? No. I think I like bishop to b7. And maybe go after their... So, I'm wasting so much time. I'm spending on trying to put this to use. Bishop b7, h3, knight here, chop, chop, queen here. Hitting my bishop. I have knight c5. I'm going to say bishop b7, and I'm prepared to just take out their dark square bishop. This really concerns me. I know they're uncastled, but this knight, not surprisingly, could be a great bother on d5, preventing castling and, as mentioned, combined the coordination on c7. Exhausted a lot of time there. So you're going to shoo my knight away? He is just hanging, so any knight move will throw a punch, though I don't see any great moves for the knight. Here, on g3, I'm just jumping in. Let's see, I want to get castled. Get my king safe. This is a developing move. No, there are some punches thrown at my queen, though. I'm fine with that. I back up, I stay on this nice diagonal, coordinate with my knight, and let's just jump right in. That's a fork. Okay, so we have a super invasive queen. Now, if I could just complete development, get castled, I'm one move away. I'm happy. And I think I'll be able to do that. I have a master bishop now. Unopposed bishop. I think master bishop has a nice ring to it. So what's white going to do? This pawn controls this knight. This pawn / bishop controls this knight. Okay, where to go? I'm going to say here. Stop queen b3. And I'm not inconvenienced with knight to h4, or knight to a4. I have my knight here that controls him. I would love to see him go to a4, because then I don't have to worry about this. And after I back up then, I'd be threatening to win a pawn. This doesn't concern me. This feels like a liability more so than an asset. And I would have a blockader. Big question is, what will white's minor pieces do? Maybe some pressure here. Okay. Have that. I should probably just get castled now. No time to be greedy. No time to go after pawns. So we're castling now. They're ready to take, and then f7 is sensitive. So I'm tucked in. They could try to eliminate the light square bishops and then go here. Be careful of entering a bad... he's my master bishop, right? I do have to be careful, though, about light square bishop exchange, knight jumping in here, trying to work around that guy. Okay, so actually, they could white can still castle queenside. Yeah, let's not forget about that. What can I do? How about this, and then I'm prepared to take here? I want to move my knight. It's time to improve him. A second-rank knight? No good. He could do better. Here, and then still fight for the d5 square. I think that's the way forward. Knight f6. Yeah, knight f6 it is. And also I'm prepared to put some more pressure on the d line. How do I want to do this? With which rook? Queen rook. This is sensitive, and I'll probably need some support of f7. Interesting game. They are able to complete development. Queenside castle. I would love to see this e-pawn recapture on d5, because then this bishop's eyes are brought to life on b2. I start to coordinate. So I'm expecting queenside castle, and on that, a chop. See how white recaptures, and I'm going to say, well, do I take first and then go here, or go here first? You know, I want to make sure the c file opens up. So chop, probably this, and then should I just put a little bit more? No, I don't want to see this at this point. Let's take. No, I mean, we'll see. I was saying I don't want to move this rook. Maybe I do. Things are sharpening, so c file is appealing. Let's keep in mind the checks. Bishop here is not working. Knight there on the queen. I gotta take that guy. How do I want to take it? The bishop or the knight? I'm gonna say the bishop, actually. Pawn takes, I have this, so my rook is under fire now. Where does he want to go? Now I have a check. I have multiple checks. Queen, rook. You know what? I could take here. And if queen here, this, then there's that. If I do this first, knight here kind of guards everything. This I'm just flushing the king away to a square he wants to go to. Tough. Check, there's even rook block, minute 30. Tough call. Yeah, I'm gonna take. And maybe I put pressure on b2 instead of attacking the queen. Here threatens mate. Let's see how white reacts to that first. I must say, they're doing a good job defending. After that breaking up of the central structure and then getting the dark square bishop. So how to defend this point? Oh boy, that's so weakening. Oh man, there has to be something. I could do this. If queen takes, I have a check, and then I get e4. Let's try it. Gotta go with something fast. Gotta keep him defended. Queen takes. Let's follow. Oh, I don't have that. Okay, let's still throw in the check. There's a knight block. Not calculated. But this cuts off this communication here. Knight c3 has to be played. Queen here, and then he'll be able to move, and I open up this diagonal. Knight has to go into a pin. Knight c3, rook here, queen to one of these two, and if I take, knight c3, they're blocking with the rook. I think that's a losing move. Now I take here, and I'm on the knight. Oh, they just blundered. There's nothing. My queen's not getting trapped. Just blundered there. Sudden end to a very open position. Knight c3, and maybe I have something. Okay, let's focus here. Let's get the move back with check. The rook cannot block. And this bishop's eyes need to open up. Right now. He could finally see. Rook there. I just keep pushing. Is this the way forward? Just keep him defended. This is my most sensitive square. Let's keep pushing. Try and score a touchdown. There's no tactics. I have to be sometimes careful if there was rook takes and then queen takes rook. Okay, I'm going to go here with the check. Yeah, because then I want to be able to push next and push. And I even am coordinating now with my bishop. Yeah, I'm pushing through, and there's some added support to my most sensitive square f7. Yeah, they're going to have to give up a rook for this pawn. I'm not sure what I would do if knight c3 was played instead of rook c3. And they just missed this idea, and then that other one. Okay. Well, I could win the queen, not quite. Just push the pawn. Yeah. Just keep more than 10 seconds and I'll be alright. Might be resigning right about here. Yeah. Okay. And GG, Slayer of. Let's see. Let me go back. So, I think this is, after c6, the most critical move. Try and take advantage of b6. Let me jump into the analysis. Somebody already clicked on the computer evaluation. Yeah, so let me throw this on. c5 a move here? Yeah, c5 is a move. Okay, let's go with the structure that was played in the game. I got b5 in. e5 is a possibility. It could change in many ways. Knight out. It's a fan of. Castles, bishop to b7. Yeah, this is where I went for breaking up their pawn trio. Bishop b7 is another move. A better move, apparently. This is okay, too. And is this okay? Yeah, I guess this is alright as well. Where does it really change? Oh, it wants to go for e5 right now. Okay, e5 is another move, but so too is the move played in the game. Yeah, so this is an important moment. I guess... White has to recapture with a piece here, taking with a pawn, and I'm getting some initiative now. Kicking off with knight g4. Yeah. e5, d5. It likes queen b6. Gotta go to f1. No, it just wants to take on h2. I played the second-rate move. So let's consider this. Knight takes h2. What concerned me was this. Pawn takes pawn. I don't have to do this. I could counterpunch here. I missed this in my calculations. This, and I felt that I was in trouble. And I would be. Knight d5. This close by. Yeah, that's too scary, and I can't get my king safe because of that. Okay, I missed that I have knight to c5 in reply to this capture in my calculation. So I could have gotten away with capturing on h2 there. Okay, so I missed my chance there. Knight e3 is alright. Let's go all the way back to a7. Knight a4. I was saying that I would have been alright with that. Huh. What's the idea? Knight a4, queen a7, and then it just wants to bypass. Okay. Didn't consider that. Castles, queen d2. Yeah, just at this point I wanted to fight for the d5 square. It's alright. Queenside castle takes a -2. So what did I miss here? It was -2, and then it's jumping around a little bit. Okay, just have to give it some time to think. Maybe it's not -2 after all. -1. Bishop takes, it's alright with. Knight takes, it's alright with. Right around here I must have missed something. It likes rook a to b8, though. b5? Yeah, and I guess I could have improved here. I went with a5, and that throws the advantage away. No, okay, I still have something. I must always have something here. Queen's still on, all major pieces still on, and the king without a pawn shelter. So queen takes a5, queen c6, and after knight c3, white is better. So that's how close this is. It'll still be tough to hold, I imagine, for white. Easy to go wrong. I mean, as it happened in the game, but yeah, I had to follow up in a different way. Okay, now that there isn't as much pressure on f7, this rook, I guess I could feel a bit more confident bringing this rook into play. And if knight c3 here exchanged queens, I don't know if I would have wanted to do that. Okay, maybe if I saw that I was going to be able to win both of the a-pawns. I don't know. Tricky. Certainly very tricky. Queen c6, and now it's just gone even. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting the knight, but it's already -4. So if the knight moved, how could I have followed up? Queen f4. Yeah, here's the thing. As soon as his eyes are opened up, there's nothing good. He's also passed, so even if he falls, at some point I'm diverting one of their pieces away, and I could probably do something on the queen side then. Yeah, it's just gone from here. Of course. What's the graph reading? Inaccuracies, mistakes, blunders for each. Let me just go back to the opening real quick. What could white have done that's a little bit better? Because I was successful with breaking up this trio, and I don't know if I should have been so successful. So maybe instead of a3, it's not a fan of a3, so queen d2. And if white's fear was b4 to chase the knight away, there's knight a4. And maybe I have to be concerned about c5 at some stage. It's following up with a5, and then now there's an a3 move to try and hammer away at the one pawn that's in white's house. So doing without a3, queen to d2, what might I have done? Probably castle. As mentioned, now that I could be assured that this side of the board will be opened up if they go queenside, I'm not too scared about this idea. And let's say white castles. I could follow up with e5. It's still a very interesting struggle. It's tough to say how exactly the central structure will be defined. Many different ways it could change up. But I guess to do without a3 is one quick note for the white side. Just queen to d2, castle, and yeah. Play without the a3. Don't be maybe afraid of the knight getting shoot away to a4. That's a minor point, but anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this rapid game in the comment section below. And as usual, I hope you got something out of it. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.